In a quiet coastal town where the sea whispered against the rocks, there lived an old painter named Elias. He was known for painting sunsets, skies so beautiful they could stop your breath. But one day, he stopped painting. Years ago, his wife, Clara, had been his muse. She would sit by his side, watching him mix colors with laughter in her eyes. Slight pause, and she would always say, "Promise me, Elias, you'll paint the sky even when I'm not here." But one night, the sea took her away. A storm came without warning, and she never came back. Since then, Elias locked away his brushes, and the colors of his world faded into gray. One gray afternoon, Elias sat by the shore, watching the waves. His eyes were empty, like a canvas no one dared to touch. Suddenly, a small voice called out behind him, "Sir, are you the painter?" Elias turned. A little girl stood there, holding a tiny seashell in her hands. "My mother said you used to paint sunsets," she said. "Can you paint one for me?" Elias sighed softly. "Not anymore. I ran out of colors." The girl tilted her head and smiled. "How can you run out of colors? The sky still has them. You just have to look." She placed the seashell in his hand and ran away. Inside that shell, Elias saw faint swirls of pink and gold, the same colors of the skies he once... That night, Elias couldn't sleep. The seashell sat on his table, glowing softly under the lamplight. Something inside him stirred, a spark of life he thought was gone forever. He walked to his old cabinet, opened a jar of paint, and dipped his brush into ultramarine blue. With a trembling hand, he painted one gentle stroke across a blank canvas, just one line of blue. Pause, whisper, like the sea before the storm. The next morning, he returned to that canvas. One stroke became 2, then 10, until the colors began to breathe again. Days turned into weeks. Elias painted once more, slowly, carefully, lovingly. He painted the cliffs, the waves, the sunrises, and with every brushstroke, a piece of his heart returned. The air in his studio filled with light again. Oranges, purples, reds, colors of memory, colors of healing. For the first time in years, Elias smiled, because he realized the colors had never truly left. He was simply too hurt to see them. One evening, as Elias painted another sunset, the little girl appeared at his door again. Her eyes widened as she looked around. "You did it," she whispered. "You found your colors." Elias smiled warmly. "No," he said softly. "You reminded me where they were." The girl noticed a half-finished portrait, a woman's face. "Is that your wife?" she asked. Elias nodded gently. "Yes, she loved the sea." The girl thought for a moment. "Maybe she's still watching your sunsets from the other side." Elias's eyes glistened. "Then I must keep painting," he said quietly, "so she has something beautiful to look at." Months later, the local gallery held an exhibition of Elias's paintings. People came from all over to see his skies filled with love, grief, and rebirth. The little girl stood beside him, holding that same seashell. Elias smiled and said, "This exists because of you." "I didn't do anything," she said shyly. "Oh, but you did," he replied. "You reminded me that colors never die. They only wait for us to find them again." Pause. That evening, Elias stood alone on the cliff, the sea glimmering below. He whispered to the horizon, "Another sky for you, my love." And the sky blazed with gold, as if Clara herself had painted it back. Because sometimes, losing everything is just the beginning of seeing the world in color again.